Welcome to a special edition of Blaze News Tonight. We'll be giving you the highlights, the lowlights, and the gaslighting from the DNC, but the fun doesn't stop there. We'll have the Blaze Media's DNC roast next hour.
Oh my. Why is she laughing?
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy.
President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Making his way in, he looks, he's awake, but I wouldn't say he looks alert.
The eyes are not
alive.
open.
She has done a giant heap of nothing.
Wine moms for Kamala and
white dudes for Kamala.
yeah, femme men for Kamala.
He's the cool dad. He's the cool teacher. He's America's coach. No, actually, he's a far-left radical communist, okay?
What the hell was that?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? I just love good news.
Trump claims that you were pushed out, but from the top of the ticket, and this amounts to a coup from your party.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
Welcome to our coverage of the Democratic National Convention. I'm Jill Savage, joined by Matthew Peterson, Blaze News Editor-in-Chief, and Chris Bedford, Senior Editor for Politics and Washington Correspondent for Blaze Media. So, gentlemen, we are going to have some fun tonight, right? I think that we know the DNC is up and running. We'll be bringing you all of that fun coverage, but we're going to have fun, guys.
You have to. It's impossible not to. I mean, they're having all that fun in Chicago. Why just them, right? The dancing Pink is there. It's going to be amazing.
We suffered through this entire week, right? We reported this entire week in serious fashion. And tonight is the time for us to kick back and watch the grand finale. Let's go.
What are you guys most looking forward to tonight? When we know that the stage is set, Kamala Harris is going to have her big moment, you guys. What are you looking forward to?
You know, I've basically already written my piece for tomorrow because I don't expect any real surprises. She's got to be on script. I mean, she has to be on script. When she's off script, it's a disaster. So what are you expecting, Matt? I mean, I don't think Julio's going to get his big riot tonight.
Yes.
Too many cops.
So number one, Julio is looking for a Super Bowl. He wants to see, he wants to see the real stuff go down and bring it to all of you out there. And his videos are coming out now. You can go on Twitter and see the Blaze on Twitter and see what he's pumping out because they are protesting, right? He wants to see the full-on riot. For me, the big question is, are we actually going to see Kamala prepared and up to the task? Because she's been quiet this entire time. She's sort of been playing it Joe and hiding. And tonight, she's going to have to come out and give a speech right after everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll dive into everything from the week of the DNC as we get throughout the show. But you guys, one thing I'm looking forward to is they're talking about secret special surprises that are going to be coming up tonight. So, we saw all the cool things that happened at the RNC. I don't know if the DNC is going to be able to live up to it, but we'll get into everything. But I mean, just, the little extra things that they have planned for the final night.
I love surprises. Every day I come home from work to like 5 or 6 Amazon packages addressed to my wife, and it's like Christmas every day. I love it. I'm happy for it. As long as it's not George W. Bush. I could go the rest of my entire life without hearing another George W. Bush speech.
I mean, we're enjoying the timeline tonight where we're all sitting here thinking, will it be George Bush
or
as
Taylor
the special guest or Taylor Swift? Tay-Tay or George? I don't know. Tay-Tay or W?
You never know.
Who's the leader of independence? Which one?
Which one's more powerful right now with swing voters?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Sure.
It's not even close. So, we will have all of this coming up. We'll talk a little bit, maybe even about some toxic masculinity. That seems to be one of the left's favorite talking points. But the legacy, you guys, first of all, before we wrap this up, the legacy of Joe Biden and the way that they were just kind of pushing him out the door really late on a Monday night.
Yeah, that's something we'll be talking about tonight for sure. I mean, Chris has been bringing this up all week. I mean, he was just regarded as a non-existent being.
It was sad. I mean, it was like having a family funeral the day before a family wedding. And, sometimes you have to do that. But Monday night, was Joe Biden's funeral. It was late. It was raining, basically. And then the rest of the week, people didn't even mention him. I mean, Bill Clinton kind of went on for a second. He gave him like 1 minute, and then he went on. He's like, all right, let's cut to it.
A weird minute.
Yeah, where he said he was an improbable president. Michelle Obama just kind of heaped scorn on him. She's like, finally. She acted like there was never a Democrat in the White House at all for the last 4 years. Finally. According to Michelle Obama, this is not surprising. She hated her country before Obama was in the White House. She said that. It's the first time she's ever been proud of her country. And she wasn't proud of her country, of course, under Donald Trump, and she wasn't proud of her country under Joe Biden. It was the first time that she had been. This was finally happening. Kamala Harris was in there, a woman she hated, but I guess they've mended that.
All right. Well, before we dig into all of the convention tonight, let's go ahead and give you a sneak peek of tonight's DNC roast. Blaze TV host Stu Bergier is standing by. Stu, go ahead and introduce your panel, who you have going on there, and give us a sense of what we can expect tonight.
This is going to be a very fun evening, if nothing else, to just be able to relieve the hideous pressure of watching a Kamala Harris speech. I had not noticed, actually, until recently. By the way, I'm talking Dave Landau here, of course.
Hello.
Alex Stein here from a blimp. Usually is where he is. And we're going to have Sarah Gonzalez is here in a little bit as well. It's going to be a fun night of just mocking this. And it starts tonight with the Dixie Chicks doing the national anthem, which they're apparently still a band.
When was the last hit song? What do you think they had last? A hit or a period?
It's good.
They're in menopause, so I don't think
That's
they've
what I mean.
had.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah, I mean,
look at that. One joke, and we all got it.
It took me a second. Well, because this is what I'm thinking tonight. Everybody's talking about the surprise guest, and I read online that the Republicans had, Hulk Hogan, the king of wrestling, right? And then I read this rumor that the DNC and Planned Parenthood were trying to get Chris Benoit because they're so pro-child
That's what I've heard.
Is that true or false?
It turns out he also killed himself.
He's dead.
Yeah.
That's why Chris Benoit's not going to be there. We just debunked that live.
They were trying to get it, though.
They were. Planned Parenthood's like, we love child killing. We've done 50 abortions at this DNC. Yeah. Let's kill some more kids.
They planned on doing it with a lamp as well.
Yes.
And then killing somebody with a weight bench. It was going to be pretty good.
It's going to be bad, but that's what they want. They like to kill babies.
So they're actually doing the national anthem?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought they were doing the song Wide Open Spaces.
No.
Which is a song about Paul Pelosi's head getting cracked open by his gay lover with a hammer. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's true.
7
Again, allegedly.
Hey, we're doing Chris Benoit jokes, and we're doing home assault jokes. As we're going to start off hot. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yes, we do. Do you guys have speculation as to who the special guests are? There's some, I find, boring rumors of like Beyonce, which is like, who cares, really? I guess some will, but
she's country now, though.
That's right. That's
so
right. She did the country album.
Yeah, she's got a country album out, so she's part white. And so
that's a requirement.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to
I heard it's going to be Ghislaine Maxwell on Zoom. Is that true?
It's possible.
Okay. Well,
but I heard she might be hanging.
Oh, is she hanging too?
It's going to be like chat roulette.
Ghislaine's alive. Is everybody that I think is going to be speaking there dead, Dave? Am I that out of touch?
Well, we don't know for sure.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the first of many Epstein jokes you could be expecting on tonight's broadcast. And I feel like none of the other networks are going to be throwing in Jeffrey Epstein jokes throughout their coverage. It's disappointing.
Probably not. It's probably not CNN.
No, none.
No. They should, but they won't.
Well, they're all in his book. Half of the people that are on the air are going to be in his black book.
Yeah, so they don't want to bring it up.
Yeah, right. I think so. There was some speculation of Taylor Swift. There was for a while a rumor. You saw this, right, Alex, about George W. Bush. You don't buy that, do
which
you?
I wanted that to be true because then it would just prove that we have a uniparty if he went there. But he debunked those rumors.
Yeah, Mitt Romney also debunked that he's going to be.
That would be the worst.
No one wants Mitt Romney to show up at a party.
No one wants him anywhere.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let him in. They'd just say, "No, Mitt, you got to go. I'm sorry, you're 86."
No one liked you ever.
Yeah.
It really is embarrassing. So we have a lot coming up tonight. It ends with the Kamala speech. So we'll be there, and once we're going to throw it back to the panel on the other side here in a few minutes. But once we come back here, I think at the top of the hour, about 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, we're going to be watching this coverage along with you. So we will be able to watch it in real time. Mockery will ensue, maybe some live fact checking as we go through that, and we will watch all the way through. Kamala's what should be horrible speech. And one thing I noticed about Kamala Harris, and this literally just hit me, because everyone mocks her laugh, right? Everyone, you see Kamala laugh. What hit me this week was the hand gestures, the wild hand gestures going on all the time. Have you guys noticed this?
Yeah, it's the opposite of like when a sociopath doesn't move their arms when they walk, but she does the opposite where she still might be a psychopath.
Yeah, she's like wildly, her hands are moving. She's acting everything up. She's like doing the talking heads thing at times. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and it's a bizarre thing I had never noticed until this week, and now I cannot unsee it.
Well, I'm empathetic to that because when I hear Kamala speak, there's a hand gesture I want to make every time she talks.
What is it?
I don't know if it's allowed on YouTube, so we'll just. But she makes me do weird stuff with my hands.
Okay,
I got you.
Let's keep your hands to yourself.
I know. We'll
here
try
for
it tonight. I'll just marry Catherine Gallagher.
Yeah.
Do people even know Saturday Night Live anymore?
I don't think they do.
Do you remember when it used to be funny?
Yeah.
You know what? We also have to talk about this real quick.
19 years ago.
Do you guys see that video of the DNC where it's Hillary Clinton doing the Macarena and how cool it looked?
Yes.
Do you guys ever worry that we're kind of giving the DNC their Macarena moment by showing it? Because God forbid, please don't let this happen. What if something accidentally cool does happen? Like Beyonce has a Super Bowl nip slip or so, you know what I'm saying? Something happens and it's kind of cool. And
if Taylor has a nip slip.
If Taylor Swift had a nip slip.
They're going to win.
Stu, if Taylor Swift had a nip slip, that would change the whole, it would change the future of the world.
To be honest, you'd think about voting for?
There's a point and a half in it.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Polls, for sure.
Just one Tay-Tay nip.
All right. It's starting off well, I would say. Dave Landau, Alex Stein, both here. Sarah Gonzalez, soon to be here. And Jill Savage can rescue us in the other studio. Jill?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here, Stu. When we look at the coverage for the night, I think they set the tone, you guys. And that's really what we're looking for. I do remember SNL. I know a lot of people out there do, but that's what we're going to be getting tonight.
That got dark.
Real
I saw
quick.
you appear over their shoulder like their conscience.
Real quick.
I don't think they were listening.
It was as if the angel on the shoulder was there, and it was Jill looking down at them, judging them for their remarks. And it was amusing. It was good.
And, all week long, we've been hearing of the relentless push of progressive politics and the lies that they continue to feed the American people. And it's getting harder and harder to get the real news. But, Matthew, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I think the easiest pitch that can be made right now is for subscribing to Blaze TV and Blaze Media, because when you subscribe to us, you're getting the only network that's out here that's willing to talk about, for instance, January 6th. That's a topic that other networks won't talk about in the same way we do. There's a number of topics like this where we're okay with sometimes having YouTube ban us because we're going to put that content, on our site so our subscribers can look to it.
Yeah,
and look, Chris, you've worked at a lot of these places. You know how it is right now in D.C. and elsewhere.
Yeah, that's certainly. Especially there are certain subjects where there are strong parameters on what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to question, whether or not you're allowed to mention this. There are narratives that some are considered sacred. You're just not allowed to touch them. And guess who decides what's sacred? Rather profane people, generally Democratic Party and their supporters in the media. They set the boundaries of acceptable discourse. I tell you what, though, since 2016, those boundaries have been getting pushed and pushed and pushed, not by us, by the comedians, by folks who just aren't afraid of getting canceled.
Yeah, and we should say these are other right-leaning networks. What we're talking about is other right-leaning networks, right, that aren't Blaze, they're heavily censored on many issues. They just refuse to talk about it. So, I came to Blaze, and I think Chris came to Blaze, and I think Jill came to Blaze because we knew here is a place where we can reach out right to the people out there who know it's needed and build the media that we need, and that's what we're doing every day. You should also know this isn't a static process. We're creating new products. We're creating new shows like Blaze News Tonight, and we need your support in order to do that.
And there is a code right now for Roasted that'll get you $30 off your Blaze TV annual subscription. So go ahead and use that and get a part of the network that we are building and trying to get all of this actual real news.
That's $10 more saving than the code Bedford gets you.
It was.
I was feeling pretty good about having my own code. I was like,
as you should be.
Sorry if you used it.
As you should be. But let's go ahead, and we've been talking about everything that's happening in Chicago. Let's actually look over that direction now, because there's been so much enthusiasm for Kamala Harris that protesters have taken to the street to celebrate her nomination. So joining us now from Chicago is Steve Baker, investigative journalist for Blaze News. And Steve, what do the demonstrations look like heading into Kamala Harris's speech tonight?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm doing something else tonight. I have a different assignment, so I'm not out on the demonstration trail. I'm watching what the guys are doing. We're in a chat group, so the guys that are out there with the group that we're embedded with are sending the messages in so that we can keep up with them. But right at the moment, I'm preparing to do my assignment. I can talk more tomorrow, just not right now.
Well, Steve, what is the feeling been? I mean, what we've learned so far is you've been in bars being hit on by transgender delegates. You've seen some strange things. You're surrounded by police. There's violence at night. I mean, does it feel safe? Chicago, 1968, it didn't feel safe. You could smell the tear gas. You could smell the slaughter yards not too far because Chicago still had those back downtown at the time. What is the general tension, or is it non-existent? Is the wall of police actually really keeping people safe?
I will tell you that last night I watched personally a group of about 15 to 20 Antifa come up to a large gathering, and as soon as they saw how many cops were there, they just turned around and left. And this is happening, I think, this time because, as I mentioned yesterday, is that the overwhelming presence of law enforcement here is.
All right, Steve. Well, we're losing some of you right now, but I know that we are going to look forward to the entire report tomorrow on Blaze News Tonight because, Peterson, we know what Steve has been doing in Chicago all week, and I can't wait for the rest of the audience to figure this out.
You have to realize Steve is a man of many talents. If you don't realize that yet about him and you're new to Blaze, you'll find that out tomorrow. And, you know, a lot of what he's been doing for us this week that you've seen on the show already is talking to people, not protesters, just, talking to people around town and giving us a sense of where they're coming from.
It sounds like he had a little technical difficulties there. Those are kind of plagued the DNC. I was shocked when we went to the RNC because I've covered a bunch of conventions before. Usually it's long lines, and you walk through concrete barriers, and there's more long lines. The RNC had none of this in Milwaukee. The internet was so good that I was able to come to you live at the Blaze using convention internet inside the halls. That's incredible. At the Democratic convention, this long line, you might end up with an abortion or a vasectomy at the end of it. You don't even know what you're getting in line for, and the internet doesn't work.
I just look at the differences between the DNC and the RNC. And of course, the DNC is going to have the speakers and the big musicians that are going to come out tonight of us. It's like Stevie Wonder and John Legend. I was
wondering about that because usually Republicans have the old people acts. Like if you go to the DNC, they've got like the new people, the cool people, the people who are in the top charts. You go to the GOP conventions, it's bands I prefer. It's like Blues Travelers coming out and playing, the Allman Brothers, a bunch of bands that like old people like me like. But the DNC this time, which is supposed to be about the new generation, the young people. What is it? I mean, James Taylor, Pink was around when I was maybe in high school. She's not exactly a new act. You have, who are the leaders? Who are the main speakers? Oprah? She's a retiree. Barack Obama, retiree. Michelle Obama, retiree. Nancy Pelosi is the godmother because she, I guess, stabbed the president in broad daylight. She's retired from the Speaker of the House. So Bill Clinton? Yeah. Who was like murmuring on for, he was giving way too long of a toast. He broke all wedding etiquette.
We were talking about this earlier today. What's astounding is it's almost like the octogenarians and the old people are like looking on and judging and giving Kamala the nod, right? And there's no sense of, there's not even the possibility, the hope, we should say, that you would find a young Barack Obama at this event. That's not the vibe at all. It looks old. It looks like
was it made for Joe?
From the 90s or 80s, the kind of the way the wide shot looks. And then, Joe comes on, the angry old man, and they sweep him away. And then you have this older generation sort of presiding over this whole thing. Look at us, we're great. And it reminds you like, wow, that was 15 years ago. Like Barack's getting up there. He needs to eat some carbs. He's getting a little skinny.
24 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I can't begrudge anyone for going a little white in the beard, but you... Barack Obama looks a little bit older. They all look a little bit older. And I don't know, I guess I was asking you guys earlier, is Oprah even still on TV? Apparently I missed it. She's been off for like a decade because I'm reading all these things about Oprah being reintroduced to youthful viewers. I'm like, I thought that she was important, but I don't really watch a whole lot of TV.
Oh yeah, and the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks or whatever they're called now, most people don't even remember that controversy.
They were fighting with Toby Keith, rest in peace.
A long time ago.
During Bush years.
They were.
No longer Chicks, no longer Dixie.
No, you can't.
Ladies.
Don't you dare call them the Dixie Chicks. You will get in trouble. But we do have Oprah. She was speaking at the DNC earlier this week, and she had a disturbing take on the American dream.
If you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
There is no American dream,
you can't
guys.
Kill your babies. There's no American dream. That's a strange Moloch version of America. You know, the entire DNC is about this, and it's not actually, they try to make it about women, but I think the main thing, and this is the misdirection of the sexual revolution in general, is it's about men. It's about men not having to be men. Vasectomy. You're no longer able to have children anymore. Your masculinity is gone. Maybe that's a decision that a married couple makes, but that's a strange thing to have as like a centerpiece. Abortion. You don't have to raise that child because of that one night stand you had with a woman. You don't have to raise that child. You don't have to raise someone who might have difficulties in their life. It's amazing to see Democrats freaking out about a neurologically divergent Tim Walz's kid because he's got ADHD apparently and anxiety. It's like, well, congratulations on surviving Roe v. Wade because there's an abortion van parked right in front for people who may be difficult or have trouble being raised. And all of this is about escaping masculinity. And then you've got Waltz out there who's basically fits into the Homer Simpson idea of the American man. Now, Homer's like a beloved character who cares about his family, but he's also a doofus, and everyone knows he's a doofus. And that's what they betray, and they have betrayed for a long time, the American man, the head of the family. And you've got MSNBC and CNN saying, we love that there's someone out there who speaks to lower testosterone men. Now, you don't need to be Hulk Hogan ripping your shirt off to be a man, but you do need to raise your children. Maybe you should think twice about getting it snipped, and you probably can't vote for Kamala.
But they want to elevate a man who steps back, right, and doesn't take care of business. I mean, that's what they do. So they're celebrating a kind of masculinity where you are absolved of responsibility. And then the thing about Walz that you have to add to this is that there's a self-hating element, right? A groveling, like, I know white people are bad and stupid, and I know the color of my skin is something I can't be proud of. And in fact, it's a problem. And haha, that's really funny. And it's disgusting. There's something disgusting about it, revolting even. It's more than simping, yeah.
Yeah, it's gross. It makes you uncomfortable to see it.
We'll get it over to the roast with Stu Burgier and Dave Landau and Alex Stein and Sarah Gonzalez at the very top of the hour. And until then, we will get you through some more of the DNC because you guys, we know that what we see on screen tonight, one, we've already talked about the long lines that you have to get through to even get in. These guys are the people that produce all the Hollywood films. It should be a theatrical production. But we don't see that right now. And all we see are Oprah coming out here. Like we still need Oprah on our TV. And all the old white men that they're trying to say right now is, oh, Tim Walz, look at him. And Barack Obama coming through and saying, oh, his shirts, they've seen a lot of stuff right now, you guys. They have been through some things.
Windsurfing Obama, talking about Tim Walz's shirts. That's just a strange moment. And all the other things he keeps in the closet. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness going on there. And I think one of the weirdest things about this it's a shotgun wedding. We have to keep that in mind. 5 weeks ago, every single person on that stage, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, he's like secretly in charge of the Democratic Party, was trying to come up with someone to be the bride who was not Kamala Harris or the groom. Anyone. I mean, it was just a month ago that Biden stepped down and then said, oh, by the way, I nominate Kamala. It made sense. We wrote about it at Beltway Brief, wrote about it at The Blaze. We talked about it. But they were desperate to not have this wedding. And they were and they stacked it right on with the funeral. They're going to move right on. They're not even going to talk about it. We might have mentioned this a second ago, but Oprah Winfrey didn't even make a single mention of Joe Biden. And she could have tossed it to the crowd is weird. We were talking about this earlier. It's like they're told when to chant or when to cheer. You could have one speaker come on and say, and we're going to take the money from the billionaires, and everyone cheers. And then the next speaker is like Pritzker, who's a billionaire, and they cheer when he says, I'm a billionaire. You can toss him whatever. So it just takes a little bit of grace to say, oh, by the way, don't forget we buried Grandpa on Monday. And they can't do it. They still can't do it.
Yeah, it's about power. What's lurking behind all this is just raw power of the individuals, the pantheon of older people that you mentioned. It's their power on display. It's not about coherent ideology. It's not about, coherent principles and purpose. It really is, you will clap. This is whom we have chosen. And what matters is that we have chosen her. That's what matters. We have chosen her. I'm with her. Even though we know damn well these people were not with her for the last however many, up until 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, I saw Byron York was talking about this earlier, where he said, well, there's no need for policies. All she needs to say is, I will be a good progressive. That doesn't really work with conservatives. Like, what do you mean you'll be a good conservative? Are you going to be severely conservative like Mitt Romney? Are you going to be MAGA conservative, whatever that kind of constantly shifting thing is? Are you going to be, what is this going to mean? But the Democrats apparently don't need that. She checks the boxes. They're going to make the personality for her. The news media have done her makeup, done her hair, picked out her dress. And now tonight, she's going to be presented and roasted.
One old white guy tossed it off to another old white guy. Last night, Bill Clinton gave Joe Biden a send-off fit for the founding fathers.
And then he did something that's really hard for a politician to do. He voluntarily gave up political power. And George Washington knew that, and he did it.
Chris, how can the Democrats acknowledge things could get better under Biden and then go out and compare him to George Washington?
I mean, he started his administration being compared to FDR by all those historian simps who live in Concord, Massachusetts. Yeah, George Washington. I just don't remember what newspapers are around today that were still around back then. The New York Post, I think, might have been around at the time. I don't remember the string of editorials and the clamor of the American people that George Washington needs to step down right now or Thomas Jefferson's going to take over. There was none of that. He actually stepped down. People did not want him to leave. Matt's an actual historian, so I'll toss it to him in a second as soon as I finish just blowing wind. Joe Biden was defenestrated. It wasn't something he wanted to do, voluntarily gave up power. He is so angry about it, he's not even there. And I kind of get it.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Isn't it insane to think the man who had the most power in American history would be George Washington, without whom there's no Constitution, there's no revolution, who everyone knows is the first president and could have been president his entire life, who had the power, stepped down. And then, as we're saying, Biden wants to hold on until the very, very end, wants to hold on to power as a senile, dementia-addled old man, but can't because the most powerful people in the country who put him there say, no, we gotta go.
And remember, they didn't want him back in the first place. And I think that's one of the reasons why he made so much money and made so much. Like, if you're planning to run for president and be in the limelight again, you don't give the sign off to make $34 million from the Chinese and other shady governments. That was because Hillary Clinton had been picked.
Yeah.
He wanted to be president, but Obama had said no, and Oprah had said no, it's going to be Hillary Clinton. And no one expected her to actually lose that election. So it was going to be 8 more years. He was going to be this old. His chance to run for president was never going to happen. So he might as well just make some money. It's like, oh, surprise, we actually need you back because this cast of fools on the primary stage basically are openly saying we want to open the border. We need you back. I like the hammering.
I do too. But when we look at Joe Biden, they were going out there and making him take the stage so early on Monday night. He gave his farewell address around midnight on Monday.
I've made a lot of mistakes in my career, but I gave my best to you. For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation. And I've been blessed a million times in return with the support of the American people. I've either been too young to be in the Senate because I wasn't 30 yet and too old to stay as president. But I hope you know how grateful I am to all of you. I can honestly say, and I mean this from the bottom, give you my word as a Biden, I can honestly say I'm more optimistic about the future than I was when I was elected as a 29-year-old United States Senator. I mean it.
I mean it. He's more optimistic now. Chris, are you buying that at all?
No, I think he's pretty sad. All he ever wanted to do in his entire life was be president. It was a shame that he wasn't actually there for it when it happened. And it's sad to see. It almost, when you see speeches like that, it makes me feel bad. I wish it wasn't like we had to give him the country for 4 years to make the old man feel better after a career of being a fairly awful person. I think Barack Obama had the best idea initially when he was like, he surprised Joe with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the old man got all teary, and it's like, here you go. It's like a plaque. It's a very nice retirement plaque, and that was supposed to be it. But everything went awry. He came back. I just wish you could give the old guy a present that wasn't 4 years of chaos, insanity, and decline. Okay, anything else? My watch, take it.
Well, I mean, you see him get thrown away in the end. I mean, that's the sad, but really the classic old truth here is that power discarded him and threw him away and gave him a disgraceful late-night speech as President of the United States, supposedly as great as George Washington, and he has to speak at midnight. I mean, that's, you're hiding him, and they're going to continue to hide him. And as you've pointed out over and over again, they pretend he doesn't even exist, and he is still, ladies and gentlemen, just keep in mind, he is still the President of the United States of America.
I can't believe it.
He's like living. He's alive. They buried him alive.
He's on vacation right now. I mean, relax a little. He's busy on vacation now.
He's hanging out in Reaganstown, Santa Barbara, where he went to retire. Fantastic.
You may as well enjoy it while he can still remember and enjoy anything.
I mean, I'm having a great time with you guys here tonight, but am I the only person who thinks that retirement will probably be awesome? Like, I don't want to be carted out of here.
You're so cute that you think you're going to be able to retire with this economy that's going to come down this pipeline. Good luck, Chris.
You're going to have to pull me out and say, all right, Bedford's coming on at 11:30 after everyone goes to bed.
We have to admit, these people don't want to. They want to die in office. They do not want to retire. They do not want to spend time with their grandchildren. They want to die grasping power with their cold, dead hands.
But
and we've
why?
seen it over and over again. It's their identity. It's the only thing that they have in their life, presumably. And that's very disturbing. It's perverse.
I've heard grandkids are great. I mean, you don't have to raise them. You get to play with them. You can return them, drink wine, travel. Sounds amazing.
The intoxication of power. I mean, you have to think about how corrupt you'd have to be to say, I don't want to retire when you easily could. You have enough money.
That's the kind of thing you do see. In countries like Russia, Vladimir Putin can't retire because you don't keep your dacha when you retire in Russia. He doesn't become one of the richest men in the world because he earned it. It's only power. And when that power is gone, it is taken from you. So, like, I see why, someone like him doesn't want to retire. It just blows my mind when you see the rest of them.
They all want the power. Kamala Harris is in this because she wants the power. But now they're trying to tell us that Kamala is cool, right? We see all the PR campaigns that are out there. We see the media trying to make this person, who was the most unlikable candidate that we've seen, try to be so cool, you guys. And come on. Is anybody buying this? Or does Kamala Harris actually need somebody like Taylor Swift to come out there on the stage and make her cool? Would that work?
Might work. I mean, one of the reasons that we're in this situation in the first place is the same segment of society that makes up Taylor Swift fans are very bad and emotional voters. I mean, vote against Donald Trump because he's mean on Twitter, I guess. I get it. I can see being turned off by that, but you'd think you'd be interested in policies. And part of being cool, remember, is not being front and center. Not being out there, being a little mysterious. And Kamala Harris gives no interviews.
We could see Steph Curry right now on the DNC feed, and he's trying to make her cool. Like, they're doing everything that they can to say, I'm cool. I'm going to give my coolness over to Kamala.
So I fully grant it might work because the culture machine is powerful, but I think there's a real obstacles here to this. And one is, as you were saying, cool, like glamour especially is mysterious. You don't show everything. Glamorous is sort of like mysterious and back there. There's nothing mysterious about this woman. I mean, there's nothing mysterious about her, and there's nothing cool about her. And so, to me, it's an insurmountable mountain of cringe that you have to get over. And I feel like I'm a rebellious 13-year-old boy again when I see her say as Wynant, no, I'm totally cool. Like I used to smoke out and listen to, Snoop. And you're like, what are you even talking about? It doesn't even, the age range, she's so terrible that way. So the only way you do that is you have other people speak for her, and you have a parade of images like they've had, right, for the last month or so. There's no objections. There's other people speaking for her that are part of the cool culture machine. The problem tonight, and the interesting thing about tonight, and what everyone should be thinking is, what is it actually going to look like when they put this loser of a politician nationally who's never won anything nationally in her life or even come close to it. Not a single state vote, not a single. She's going to go up and she's going to have to give a speech. And there's a certain element to this that you can't fake, right? Even Biden, if you hide him in the basement and he comes out in that debate and he's terrible. And so is she going to be able to pull that off? I don't think she has the capacity that, say, like Michelle Obama did last night, to come out clear and strong and bracing. We'll see. I mean, did she do the work as well? You've been pointing out the whole time she doesn't do the work. Chris has been saying, and it's true. Staffers say she won't prepare. So what is this going to look like for her?
And how many of those retirees, you have to wonder, did the crowd wish were the nominee, or the actual bride,
Right.
or in the dress tonight?
Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama, even Oprah Winfrey. It's like, that's an interesting speech. That'd be great. Barack Obama, please come back and save us.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Clinton, you're getting pretty long in the tooth. At least he was able to make fun of that himself. But can any one of you please come back and be the Democratic nominee?
Now, no matter how cool they make her seem, one of the biggest issues is going to be immigration. And I don't know if she is going to be able to run away from that. They named her the border czar. They tried to sweep that under the rug. But it's still going to be one of the biggest issues that we see this entire election cycle.
There's no running away from it. There's no running away from it. So everyone doesn't want to talk about it now on the right, almost because it's been overplayed or we've talked about it so much. It still resonates. It's insane. It's absolutely mind-blowing insane. And now it will come back because she's going to have to answer for it. And no one, look at polling, absolutely no one believes what they're saying now, which is actually we do care about the border, and somehow I wasn't the border czar.
And you remember, this was Joe Biden handicapping her or kneecapping her in the first place. The little Tanya Harding move of, you want my job, do you? You want to be in charge of everything? You want to be in every meeting? You're in charge of the border now. And her staff were consistently leaking their anger at the time that she was being set up with impossible tasks. And to be honest, she was, because the policies of the administration and the policies which she championed made it so you could not stop the border. You could not stem the tide of people coming over. It's basically saying, listen, you're in charge of boxing, but our policy is you can't throw a punch, you can't throw a kick, you can't bite, you can't even yell too loudly. You can go down and give a speech that says, do not come. But that's about all. And honestly, that's a little racist if you even do that. So you have to walk back. Remember, one of the great moments of, one of the few shining moments of Joe Biden's last State of the Union was when he went off script and he said illegal immigrant. And he said the name of a young girl who'd been killed by one. And he ended up having to apologize for that. It was like actually it reminded you, the eyes grew a little brighter, the dimness pulled back. And here was a person who actually was a pretty good politician at the end of the day. He could do it, and you saw that, but even then he had to apologize. You couldn't even score a political point that went against illegal immigration, because I guess that's an important voting bloc to Democrats.
Well, Donald Trump spoke at the southern border today and announced his criminal justice plan regarding illegal immigrants, sex offenders, and drug traffickers.
With your vote, we will seal the border, stop the invasion, and launch the largest deportation effort in American history. We will impose tough new sentences on illegal alien criminals. These include 10-year mandatory minimum sentence for anyone guilty of human smuggling, a guaranteed life sentence for anyone guilty of child trafficking, and a death penalty for anyone guilty of child or woman sex trafficking. We'll also impose the death penalty on major drug dealers and traffickers in other countries on their immigration papers. There is a statement that says, death for drug traffickers. Big letters, big bold letters. 10 times the size of everything else on the page. I saw it this morning. And those are the countries where they have no problem with drugs. Many of them, actually. We will also impose the death penalty for anyone killing our police, sheriffs, Border Patrol, ICE, or law enforcement officials. The death penalty with a quicker trial not a trial that lasts for 15 years and everybody gets exhausted. We will liberate our country from the illegal alien drug dealers, robbers, murderers, gang members, and child predators. And we will make America safe again for our citizens and make it greater, stronger, better, more beautiful than ever before.
We know that's going to be one of the biggest issues, but let's go ahead and head out to Chicago. And on the floor of the DNC, Colin Allred, a representative from Texas, is trying to make us understand what's going on there.
Powerful than me. We will protect and restore reproductive freedom. We will secure the border. We'll protect Medicare and Social Security.
This is something they love to do.
And we'll turn the page and write a new chapter
They
for
want
this
to make
country.
abortion a federal
And let
issue.
Kamala Harris be the next president.
Republicans
and
don't
beat
want to say,
Ted
we don't want to talk about it anymore on the federal level.
No, exactly.
And it's not going to happen.
They're going to make it a federal issue. They already have.
Well, Trump's gone out there and been like, basically, I'll mail you the pill if you want. And Democrats are still saying, he'll take away your abortion.
The abortions are happening outside the DNC right now in a van, and so many people that have taken the stage have made it a point because that's what the Democrats care more than anything.
You kind of wonder, it's like, if abortion is not legal on demand in the third trimester, you'll have to get abortions in a van at political conventions. Like, is that the threat? It seems strange.
Now, see, look at this. This whole setup is so
freedom
it's
from
simple.
gun violence.
Oh, yeah. You know, freedom is provided by guns, according to some people. I think they were the founders.
2 years ago, a miscarriage nearly killed me. At 16 weeks, my doctors told me to prepare for a stillbirth. I needed care. But my state's abortion
This is a really weird
restrictions
thing to go
kept
to
it
right
from
after
me.
the abortion talk.
I miscarried in a bathroom.
Right.
I'll never
What does this have
forget
to
my
do with
husband's
abortion?
face as he tried to stop the bleeding, trying to do what doctors should have been doing. When I reached the hospital, I'd lost nearly half the blood in my body.
Terrible situation, but
I
what does
can't
this have to do
change
with
the
abortion?
past, but we can choose a different future.
How was that a vote for Democrats versus Republicans? God bless her and God bless her children, but that's a sad. Is that a pro-abortion message or is that a gun safety message?
I have no idea what's going on here.
I'm Craig Sicknick, and this is my mother, Gladys. My brother was a U.S. Capitol Police officer, Brian Sicknick, a hero who died after defending our country on January 6th.
I guess we're at a political convention, you know?
My family knows how dangerous Trump is. He incited the crowd while my brother and his fellow officers
The
were
complete and
putting their
total
lives at
fantasy
risk.
that they've built around
We need a real
Mr.
leader,
Sicknick was
not an autocrat who's
is
stuck in the
twisted.
past.
You know,
Steve Baker paid your office.
Miss you every day.
if you want to get a good idea of how far January 6th echoes around the country as a political rallying call, you can check out the votes in Maryland, which is a short drive from Washington, D.C., where the fake hero of J6 didn't win a Democratic primary.
No, yeah, Harry Dunn. We've shown how he's a disgraced former officer who lied under oath, and the Sicknick lie as well. I mean, it's such a bizarre thing.
Finally
Not dive.
prescription drug prices.
Anything that happened that day. I'm not sure. What is this medley going on here?
You're jumping from topic to topic.
Can I be honest? Like,
It's like jump in and make jokes. Here's a ray of sadness.
I'm a snob about this. Like, I like real stories and documentaries about regular people. You know, like on YouTube, like the guy goes around to like regular people and places in America you don't usually go, right? But I can't stand the modern political prop of bringing in these personal stories for like 5 seconds and then moving on.
Or
We all
are they
pretend it's supposed
trying to
be
do what the RNC
Republicans do
did,
it
where
too.
they had the different nights and, the average Americans that went through? Are we trying to do that now in a 3-minute span?
Right. Those were more powerful than usual. I don't like it when Republicans do it either. It's short, and we're all supposed to. And it's like a really powerful story, but you're not really giving it any dignity because you're just using someone as a prop and moving on. So the Republicans did it well because they were long, they were well done, and you sort of felt like you got into their story.
It was one of the main focuses of the Republican convention.
Over the last 4 years,
What's she talking about? Let's get in here.
19 million new business applications have been filed. Like Trump, I grew up in Queens, but unlike him, I built my business with grit. That's my story. That's the American story.
I don't know about
Let's
that.
turn
The guy
the
doesn't
page
sleep.
on Trump.
Some of my younger friends say, I want to go work for the White House. I'm like, well, you better get ready to not sleep for 4 years.
Yeah.
He gets off the airplane and goes straight back to the White House. He goes straight to work. It doesn't matter what time of night it is.
Is there a theme here?
I always try to set an example for my boys, to teach them compassion, accountability, and resilience. I want those values to be reflected in our leaders. I don't want to have to turn off the TV because our president is lobbing insults or telling lies. I'm tired of all of the hate.
It seems like a bad Democrat ad.
Together.
Like they do it. What you need is the violins. You need the I have to turn off my TV. There's also the same people that are always saying, like, I turned to my 3-year-old and she said, "Mommy, will I be able to have an abortion?"
Yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't tell her. I choked up and I cried.
It's so short. It's like a series of tweets. Like you would have been better showing me the tweets, I think. Like you're saying.
And you're right. It is an old feel to this.
Yeah,
DNC. You know what I was hoping for with Waltz? I was hoping for some Swift boats.
Look at the
Remember when
crowd
they
is, like,
decorated?
Quiet. Yeah.
Remember when John Kerry ran against George W.
yeah.
Bush, and they had to be like, "This guy's not a total sissy." So they just covered the place like with more flags than Munich, and put Swift boats behind him, and he was like, and they took pictures of him windsurfing. And then didn't Obama do the same thing, or was he windsurfing? There's some weird.
Obama is windsurfing, but it's mainly his cook who was trying to, I think.
Paddleboarding, a very dangerous sport.
Paddleboarding. 8 feet of water happens to the best of us.
Please welcome
our houses.
the Bulls' official drum line,
Oh,
Chicago's
the
own
drum line now,
Pack
you guys.
Drum line.
Drumline.
I like drum lines. I actually don't think that drum should be listened to as a solo instrument, aside from like a royal tattoo.
Hot take.
Yeah. I had a guy, my friend, one of my cousin's wedding had the drummer from Bruce Springsteen. He decided to play like a 5-minute
That's it?
drum take.
I'm sorry, like, what's going on?
They're hip with the culture. They know what's up, and it's the official drumline of the Chicago Bulls, you guys. It's Chicago Bulls.
There's these street performers who used to sit up
I'm not
outside the
saying
Daily
it's right.
Color's office, and they would play the drum lines at like when you'd be getting off the subway at 6:30 in the morning, and they're just cranking, and I was never in the mood at 6:30.
I'm not in the mood at 6:30. I usually like that in a big city. I remember in Chicago, actually, there are some guys who are really good.
It is great if you're visiting, but if your office is right there.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not cool at all.
These guys are pretty good.
Stu Burgier, Dave Landau, Alex Stein, and Sarah Gonzalez are going to be with us in 10 minutes. They will start the roast officially, and everything will be getting underway there for Chicago, the DNC. They'll have much better coverage than what the Chicago drumline is going on. They're going to get Pink. They're going to get a ton of the celebrities later tonight. So stay with us because the roast is just getting started.
And they're the professional comedians. All of a sudden,
are.
they got to bring, they have to trot us out first.
As dark as they just
Blaze News tonight. If I really start joking, it's going to get really cynical,
Yeah. Tears in my beers.
Should we? I mean, what are you going to do with this? Like, this is good to get the crowd up, I guess, but it's not. This is not like
I'm
mainstream.
convinced. I might switch my vote.
This might be the most American flags that a Democratic convention has ever seen.
That's very cool. Look at that. No one's burning the flag. They're waving it.
They were burning it outside in the streets of Chicago, but inside the convention, they're okay with it, at least for tonight.
In 2016, they didn't even bring flags for Hillary Clinton's convention. They ended up having to take them from the city hall in Philadelphia to put them because someone was like, "Oh my gosh, no one ordered the flags." We have to have them.
By the way, do you think Kamala is on an Okie chard right now? She started.
She might be. I was at the Javits Center on the election night in 2016, waiting for Hillary Clinton to come out, but she was deep in the Okie shard. She wasn't coming on TV.
All right, guys, I want to know, now we're on Kamala, what do we think she's going to say tonight? What do we think her message is going to be? Because we've seen her out on stage for about 3 minutes on Monday night when she came out and made that surprise appearance. So how's it going to go tonight?
She's going to do the life story. She's going to reintroduce herself to the American people, child of immigrants, this and that. Oprah kind of previewed this for us, where she talked about a woman who had just died a few days before, who was one of the first to actually desegregate and was on the front lines when it was a violent and dangerous thing. But she kind of just skipped forward like a few generations. Like, and then also Kamala Harris went to school, and you're supposed to tie those things together. Like Kamala Harris, also a hero, also went to school. No comparison between them, but that was the way that Oprah kind of set it up, and I expect to see that. Remember, Kamala Harris, back when the media didn't even take her seriously, she was one of those people who stole the line from Martin Luther King when she said that her Indian mother and Jamaican father were taking her to civil rights protests in the 80s.
This is a good one.
Or 70s. When she looked up, they asked her why she wanted to be there from her stroller. She said, freedom. I don't believe that story. I don't think that story actually happened. No one actually believes that story happened. It got made fun of so much that she finally dropped it. But I think we'll hear some more of that, how she is actually secretly part of the real life struggles of a generation now gone.
Part of me thinks it just doesn't matter. Like, this is about vibes for these people. So she doesn't have any real policy that's going to be convincing. This is about, feels. And, Taylor Swift or someone like is going to come out and say, I support
Is it T.
Kamala
Swift?
Harris.
Is that where your money is? I'll bet you a shot.
I'll
Whatever
buy you a
side you
shot
want.
anyway, but
Whichever shot.
I'll take it. I think, Taylor Swift is going to come out. The fact we're even talking about that, whether it's true or whether it's apocryphal, shows where we're at as a people and where this party is at. So I'm very happy to see the American flags being waved right now, right? I mean, that is a good thing. But
the New York Times is trying to pretend that this has always been the case. They had this piece earlier this week about the muscular patriotism of Kamala Harris, and it's based on that bad Captain America AI meme of Kamala coming out with the shield. And if you pay attention, if you look too closely in this image, it's actually kind of frightening. Yeah. And they say, most Democrats, of course, think of themselves as the real patriotic party. But then they had to mention the polls. The Democrats are not the patriotic party. They're doubled in enthusiasm by Republicans. But hey, I would actually love if some of the rhetoric that's put on display this week about patriotism, about loving America, about the founders, about George Washington being a good guy, stuck around, because last week George Washington was a slaver who should be written out of history.
Exactly. We should take down the statue. Now Joe Biden's like him, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Over under on white dudes for Harris being mentioned in Harris's speech.
Ooh.
I would say no, because it's the most appalling thing ever, but that's probably why it would be mentioned. And
She
probably why
cringe.
40% of America would be like, yeah.
And probably, I would say, higher chance of black jobs being mentioned, which is
for
a funny thing.
sure.
It's funny to see
Michelle already
Democrats.
got that in, but Kamala will steal it and just go, you know what, I need to say that too. It got a big applause line.
Yeah, and it's funny because for like 60 years, Democrats have been promising jobs to black people at every single convention. Like, they've never once delivered. And I can see why. It turns out if you actually succeed and pull away from poverty and go to Yale, you get made fun of at the DNC. But I guess it's now a problem to talk about it. It's interesting. But she's up for it. And I wonder if shit was come on before Joe Biden falls asleep.
I'm digging seeing these hard hats as well as the American flag too, and you're just saying, am I at a Trump rally? It feels like I'm at a Trump rally. Interesting.
It's interesting. The talk of football, the talk of faith, the talk of patriotism, but then they do that weird, like, Raphael Warnock thing where they just sprinkle abortion into the faith talk.
Oh yeah, or it's like walls.
I can't get over the football talk. I was a former sports reporter before I jumped over to politics. That's the worst football speech I've ever heard, you guys. I have heard so many football speeches in my life, and that was by far the worst, the most cringiest. I could not, it was like nails on a chalkboard.
It was pretty bad, and I never had a coach nearly as weak as that guy. My coaches were mean. They were tough. You were running hills.
Weak? I'm sorry. He's the face of masculinity.
A new low testosterone masculinity. And it's not like me projecting that thought. This was actually what CNN and MSNBC were talking about.
So this is the thing. It's like they get the flag, right? They get the hard hats, and then it's all a LARP. And the masculinity thing is where they say it. That's where the tell is, because they basically say, this guy wears his masculinity as a skin suit to actually not be masculine. Okay, I mean, I don't understand this at all. The craziest thing about it too is it's supposed to be a new thing where, did you ever hear about how some men are like too tough and masculine and really they're just concealing their feelings and repressing their true selves. I'm like, yeah, I think I saw that in a movie in 1965. I mean, this is the old. I just can't believe anyone buys this anymore. But then again, I mean, look, they do. So the best we can do is roast this and have a good time and take some shots.
I loved it. Our buddy Steve Day said on X earlier today, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. Rather, all male behavior is not masculine, and that's what's actually toxic, right? Like they're just trying to flip absolutely everything.
Yeah, but also if you're talking about masculinity at all, it's kind of like talking about being cool. Like, why would you shouldn't have to talk about that.
It's not cool to talk about it.
You should You should just live. Like, you should just be yourself.
Just be a man.
Just be a man. The fact that they're talking about it is the tell. Like, well, actually, there's a new masculinity, and we have a masculinity here that we can talk about. And it's why would you talk about that? It's like saying it's like the bubble of her being cool, right?
They're so threatening.
She's really cool. She's super cool, guys. I'm super cool, guys. I'm super cool.
If you have
also,
to keep
I'm super
saying
masculine.
it,
seriously, I'm super serial. I'm really masculine.
It's not real.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
Exactly.
You guys, I can't get over just the fact that they have turned everything good into bad things and everything bad into good, but that's what the Democrats do. And even at the DNC, they try to make it. They try and make it like, hey, have you seen? They are wearing a lot of purple. We're just like you guys. It's red and blue put together. There are a lot of purple themes that I've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a strange.
Oprah was wearing purple. Like there were a lot of purple tones put in.
Is that supposed to be like a bipartisan thing?
Yeah. I think it's a subliminal bipartisan thing.
Guys, this is the longest time I've ever seen any Democratic anything focus on the American flag, unironically. It's insane. It's like they actually want to get elected and they realize they can't act the way they have for the last however many years.
Bill Clinton and Obama were both lecturing them on that. Like, hey, we need to treat people civilly.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the country. We need to persuade. It's like that was an actual pep talk that she got was from those two politicians who put together winning coalitions.
Guys, we love bringing big events like this to you and just going through and making sure that these big tech lords aren't going to stop us from doing this. As a Blaze TV host and a whole platform of content that's too spicy for mainstream milquetoast. So if you like what you see, please consider joining us at blazetv.com so we can keep bringing you censor-free commentary, and original things are just starting to heat up. Matthew Peterson, we know what we're building here as we just continue here at Blaze News Tonight.
I mean, this is one of the most important things you can do, and I really encourage you, if you don't believe me, just check out what we're doing. We're building. We're publishing new stuff and better stuff every day at theblaze.com. We're bringing on people like Chris Bedford, who's publishing his newsletter, coming on the show. We're creating shows like this. This is the only show in American news that does what we do with the angle we have. There's no other show like it on the right at any other network. And in order to do that, we need you to build together with us.
We do. That's very well said. And I am excited to do this along with the two of you. And you know what? Let's go ahead and turn things over because things are about to heat up for the Blaze Media original roast of the DNC.